basically want to show you guys how to do is how to tie on a synthetic wing, how to wind the hackle and tie it off. It's the most important part. So one thing I like to do, I use about 3 different synthetic materials. But this is called McFly-on. See that? Show up. And what it is, it's kind of like Zelon. It's probably nylon. There's like 3 things I use that are all pretty similar. McFly-on, the Puglisi fibers, and then high-vis, and they're all kind of the same. The nice thing about this is it's in a strand, so you can be pretty consistent with it. I'm usually going to use about a half of this, but with Puglisi fibers or high-vis, it's in a big bundle, so you got to rip some fibers off, so it's a little harder to get the same amount every time. But this works pretty well, and I like this. This is very shiny, and it wraps a post really well. So what I do is start, I want about a 2-inch piece, and I'm going to use about half of this bundle, because when I tie this wing in, I want half of what I want to end up with, because I'm going to fold it up and I'm going to double it. So I'm going to take this one strand and I'm just going to pull it in half. So when I tie this thing, I've already tied my body, and like Gene was saying about when you tie off in front of the post with a 1/2 inch, you want the thread the same color. Basically, that's what I'm going to do here too. I want the same color thread, and then you won't see it at the tie-off point. So I've got my strand. I'm going to put it on top of my hook, right in the middle of the bundle. I'm going to make about 3 really tight wraps, right, one on top of the other. You see that? Yeah. Okay, then I'm going to fold this up. I'm going to take it 3 or 4 wraps tight, right in front. And I'm going to come behind, and I'm going to take 2 or 3 more wraps behind. And that secured my wing. And the nice thing about this tie-in is there's no bulk at all. If you're going to tie deer hair or some of the other calf body hair, you would tie it in like this, and you'd have a big lump at the back. This way there's absolutely no bulk at all. It's all right on top of the hook shank. So, with parachute hackle, the amount of turns you can take is determined by the height of the post. You can't go any higher than what your post is, or it's not going to wind right. So for this, I usually want about 5 wraps of hackle. So I find that if I go up this post about 12 to 14 wraps, that's going to give me about the right height of my post for a fly this size. So that's something you have to kind of play with a little bit. The other thing is when you're posting this post, you have to, the tension is important. This stuff's really slippery, and if you just try to whip it around there, you're going to find your thread's going to pop right off the top, and you're going to get really frustrated. The other thing I do is, you can see I spin my thread. I want my thread really flat. If I get it if it gets like a rope, then it's not going to be nice and smooth up and down. So any of those threads Gene was talking about, you can do that. So I've got my thread flat, got my post, my wing tied down. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring my thread up, and I'm going to grab the post, and my tension is to the front. I'm going to put tension, slack off, put tension, and I just keep coming up 1 wrap after the other, one above the other. The tension is here. When I come around, I slack off. Okay? Ray, you're killing me, man. You move my light.
It's looking good.
Yeah, I can't see it on this side, but other than that, it's great.
Well, we can see it fine, so it's...
Yeah, that's all that counts. That's all that matters. So.
Well, we're telling you, you do it. It looks good.
Okay, so that's going to be about right. So now I want to come back down, and I want, on the way down, the tension's not quite as important because I've already tightened up that stem. Okay, well, so when I get down to the bottom, I make 2 more wraps in front, 2 in back, and that's going to lock it in there. Now at this point, I forgot my headset. I know you don't like glue, but I glue everything, so.
Have you ever found any difference on the fish take, whether you find them shiny side up or shiny side down?
No.
That's what I like to do.
Because I know if
As
anybody
far
would
as-
know, you would.
Well, what Gene was talking about, when they do sit a little bit lower in the water when the shiny side is down. So like for an emerge or something like this, I'm gonna wind this one with the shiny side down, so my hackles are gonna go up. If you want it to ride a little higher, you can do it the other way. It's not quite as, they come out much neater when you do it shiny side down. For some reason, they just lay in better than they do the other way. But, you know, it's, as far as fishing goes, I don't think so.
As you noticed in the photo, there wasn't a great difference between shiny side up and shiny side down. It was minor, but there was a difference, and we wanted to point it out.
Okay, so in the way I'm doing it now, I'm gonna dub behind the wing.
You get stronger support when it's down. I mean, shiny side up. You got the stronger support because you got to put the hackles that way.
You'd have to have a fly weight a pound to make any difference. I mean, I got 6 wraps of hackle there. The other thing too we didn't talk about is your hackle. Some of these feathers have a lot more barbs per inch than other feathers do. So what happens is if you get a hackle that's kind of sparse, doesn't have as many hackles per inch, the more winds you make, you get less hackle out of it. If I get a real dense hackle, I can make 4 turns and I get as much hackle as some feathers, like if I make 6 turns, because I'm getting that many more fibers per inch. And it makes it like difference between, say, a whiting hackle and an old Indian neck or something, you know. So the real quality hackle makes a big difference as far as the density of the hackle goes. Okay, so now I'm gonna dub behind the wing here. Probably got too much. When I do this, what I'm trying to do is get a little bit right underneath the post. So when I do the front, then I'll come right up to it. So I'm going to take my hackle and I'm going to wind dull side up. So I'm going to strip it off. You see that? So I've got dull side up, and I'm going to tie it in. What I do, I just get it down. I want my thread as close to the post as I get. I just take 2 wraps, and then I'm going to adjust the length of this thing. So I'm going to pull it up, and what I'm looking for is where the top of my post is. I want enough bare stem above that to where I make my first turn, at least the back side of the wing is going to have a bare hackle stem when I start. Tie this down, 3 or 4 wraps. I'm going to dub back up to the base of the wing. Now if I was going to tie this off at the eye, I would have dubbed right up to the eye right now and left my thread at the eye. I was going to tie it off there.
You're good at that.
I can't see.
Doing pretty good for a blind man, George.
Oh, jeez. I'm used to tying it home with a big old magnifier and a lot of light. So.
That W just right in.
Okay, so now you see I've got my thread is right at the base of the wing. And that's where I want it when I put a tie off. So now, Mitch, you were asking about the hackle. See, I'm gonna pull it straight up. I said I tried to glue that thing like that, I just couldn't get it to do that, so. So my first turn, right here, right at the top of the post. The first turn is pretty critical. Now, every wrap from here on is gonna go below that first wrap. And what I'm going to try to do is butt each stem up above, below the last one there. So I'm going to come around. I kind of like to turn it and hang on to my stem so I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to get that wrap in there. And if you don't have a rotary vise, you're kind of screwed, because here I want to be able to take this and see what I'm doing and get underneath all those fibers, and then kick that up. Can you see that? I'm actually butting that stem up against the last one. I'm trying to get all the fibers that were hanging down, get underneath those. And I'm going to come around, and that's the nice thing about the synthetic post, you can pull on it. So I'm kind of dropping down, getting up underneath it again. Going to come around, pull on it, and I'm going to suck up underneath that last wrap. And I'm going to keep doing that till I get to the point I think I've got all the hackle I can get on there. And the motion is kind of, I'm going around and down, sliding along the body, dropping it in underneath, coming around, and that's about it. That's about all I'm going to get. And I probably went one too many, because I can see I've got some fibers hanging down there.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, the way you can tell you got too many is all of a sudden the hackle
Yeah.
fibers start pointing.
They'll start going down.
That's too many.
Yeah,
You gotta
'cause I
take
could-
off one wrap.
Because I could back off, and it'd be cleaner. But I can kind of I'll get away with it just for demonstration purposes. But the motion is sliding right on the body, coming down underneath, down. I'm going to come around. I'm going to kind of bend this down, go down, slip it right over the eye, come back around. So that's all the wraps I'm going to get. Now, if you're using a neck hackle, you'd have to use hackle pliers. So here's where I differ with the tying this thing off now. Now I'm going to take my thread, and basically what I'm going to do, I'm going to go counterclockwise, and I'm going to tie that hackle down 3 times around the base of the stem. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to take my thread, and I'm going to slip it around, and I'm going to go right, slide it on top of the body, coming around right at the base of the post, over that hackle stem, 3 times.
Are you going under the hook, George, or
No.
over
No.
the top?
Between the dub body and the hackle
Yeah,
itself.
I know it's hard to see.
It's like he's winding it on the
Yeah.
post.
Right, he is
Yeah.
winding it
I'm
out.
winding around the post. See,
Yeah.
I've held the hackle down, so as I went around, come around on the back side of the post, I slide it over the top of the body, come around, and I slid it over on top of the hackle.
Yeah.
See that?
Gotcha, yeah.
So I went around 3, I went around the extra one that time. Normally I only do 3. So then it's held there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come around, and now at this point, see I'm over the eye. Can you see that?
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come to the back side of the eye, and I'm going to hook it underneath. And at this point, I'm going to put a 1/2 hitch on there. Now I can't lose it. Okay. Now I can come in here, flip my hackle out, get any flyers I've got in here. Now I'm going to wood finish it. And at this point I can just pull the hackles up and just do a 3-turn whip finish. Flip it off. And with the same color thread, you can't see where I tied it off. And this one came out kind of gnarly, but if you have any flyers in there, just clip them out. And you can just kind of straighten your hackles out. And now at this point, before I trim my wing, I'm I'm gonna come in here with a drop of flex cement. And I'm gonna put it right down into the hackles, down, right at the base of the wing. Let it soak right in there. And then I'm just gonna cut my wing, and my wing, I don't want, on this I don't want it too long, but something like that. And that's it.
What's the?
The height,
Yeah.
height is whatever you can see.
Okay.
You know,
But if it's-
typically if I was gonna do like a mayfly, the height of my wing would be like the length of the body.
Right.
On this one, kind of varies. I mean, it doesn't have to be real high.
If it's too long, it'll help, it will increase the helicopter prospect.
Yeah,
Uh,
or maybe
so-
I might want it to tip over, but this fly sits so low in the water that it can't tip over anyway.
Good.
But everybody
Long
figure that
enough
out?
on there.
Huh?
If you put a long enough one on, you could.
Yeah. So did everybody see how I tied that off? Was that confusing, or did you? That's the cleanest way I've found to do that. There's no fibers sticking out anywhere. It's very secure, and you can't see the top.